My name is Sophie van Bruggen. I come from Brussels, Belgium. Brussels is the capital of Belgium, but also the capital of the European Union. And I am a biologist and zoologist. I got all my diplomas at the Université Libre de Bruxelles, Liberal University of Brussels. I got first my bachelor's degree in biology and zoology. Then I went for my master's degree in zoology and finally got my doctorate, my PhD in zoology as well. As a zoologist, I specialized in the in-depth study of animals, exploring different aspects such as their behavior, their physiology, their genetics, their ecology, and their evolution. This discipline encompasses a wide range of specialized fields such as wildlife conservation, natural habitat management. So recent attacks in the urban area appear to be caused by what many would identify as Bigfoot, also known as the Sasquatch. This legendary apparently ape-like creature is traditionally believed to inhabit remote forests of the northwest of North America. However, because of the climate change and the food scarcity in their natural habitat, they had to migrate to cities in search of more accessible food. Initially, they seemed content with garbage and food remnants, but then they started to attack animals, small animals, more and more bigger, and now they have begun to attack vulnerable people, such as the homeless, the prostitutes, and solitary pedestrians in major cities like New York and Los Angeles. They have been sighting in places like Griffith Park, downtown Los Angeles, alleys, and small parks, primarily in the early hours of the morning. Also, some testimonies confirming the sightings of them inside the tunnels, in metro tunnels, or underground galleries in downtown. They hide in the tunnels during the day and come out to hunt at night. They are very intelligent. I am amazed at how this species has adapted. Contrary to previous beliefs, recent studies indicate that Bigfoot is carnivorous and exhibits extremely aggressive behavior. They primarily feed on human flesh, posing risks at public safety in urban environment. If you come face to face with one of these creatures, it is crucial to remain calm and avoid running, as this may provoke an aggressive response. There's not much you can do at that moment besides staying still and try not to appear threatening.
My dog's name was Rainbow because when I first moved out here from New York City down to Los Angeles, I was walking down the street and it had just stopped raining and I saw a rainbow and I took a picture of it with my phone, and then I was walking and a dog started following me, a little husky, and I looked around to see if anybody lost her, if she belonged to anybody. I took her with me. I checked she wasn't microchipped, nobody had been putting up signs for her, so I technically adopted her. She found me, and I named her Rainbow because that was very significant and a beautiful moment that I had with her. So I had just got off work. I'm a local barista at a coffee shop, and I came home and I took her out for a daily walk. So the sun hadn't set yet, but it wasn't that bright. And I always take her to this local park right up the street, and it's pretty enclosed. And like I mentioned, she's a very smart, very basically trained on her own dog. So sometimes I can take her off her leash and she'll still be around me, and she'll be curious, but she won't wander very far. And so I had gotten a call from my boyfriend at the time, and it was like a normal day. I was just on the phone. I looked and she wasn't next to me anymore. And then I was looking around for her and I didn't see her. And then I heard a scream, and I know that it was her, but I didn't expect to see what I did see. I just thought maybe, I don't know, maybe like another dog or something had bit her. So I went behind the rock and I saw blood. And I screamed because I didn't know, like, I had just heard her and I couldn't find her. And the blood freaked me out because I didn't want to think the worst about it. And then I turned and I looked up and I saw, like, I thought it was like a shadow. I thought it maybe was just like some creepy guy or something, like hiding behind the trees. And as I got closer, it was really tall and it wasn't human, but it kind of was, because it's not like an animal. It's not like a coyote. Like, it was like, I'm not good with numbers. It was really tall. It was like as tall as the rock that's at that park, like 8 feet tall or something. And it was furry and it had blood on its mouth. And I screamed because I think this thing ate my dog, or like tried to completely eat my dog. I know it attacked my dog. And so when I saw it, I ran and then I tripped, but I wasn't fully on the floor. I was just like partially, I was still like capable of running, but it grabbed me from my ankle and I fell forward when it grabbed me from my ankle, and like I kicked really fast and jumped up and ran and screamed. And I was lucky that I think like a neighbor called the cops, because within a few seconds, like they're pretty good around here about responding to things. And I saw a police car like on the street, and then I turned and I didn't see that thing anymore. And when the police came in, I was, hysterical. And I had shown them, I walked back, and this time I found my dog. And it was further away from the rocks and behind a tree. And she was missing a piece on her neck. And she wasn't breathing anymore, so I know that at least she wasn't suffering anymore. But I told the police, and they didn't believe me. They thought I was crazy. But I showed them and they told me that, oh, like, you must have imagined something because you were traumatized about seeing your dog. And I told them I hadn't even seen my dog yet. I just know that something had happened. But she doesn't like to see me get upset. This is my puppy Lulu. I got her, a couple months after this happened. This happened 6 months ago. I think it was like 4, 5 months after that I had got her, and she's very protective too.
My name is Ted Levy, 32 years old. Moved here from Texas a couple years ago to live the good life in Los Angeles. After a couple months of struggling, looking for work, landed myself a job at a grocery store, unloading trucks and cashiering and just helping out customers. Well, it was an interesting day. It was a normal day to start. I was closing the store down. It was Friday night. Everything was going well. A couple of coworkers wanted to go out and have drinks, but I decided I was going to head home and relax. And later that night, I decided to take a dip in the pool because it was hot out, and my roommate was asleep. So I just, tried to stay quiet, slowly tiptoed my way out and made my way into the pool to get a nice, relaxing sense of the water, lay on my back and look up into the sky and enjoy the night. And that's when things started to get a little weird. was this creature. He hopped in the pool with me, and he tried to grab me and drag me down. That's when I realized I was screwed and there was a real problem. There was this massive creature. It was huge, hairy, kind of looked like a monkey. It was a scary face. It was a giant, hairy, I don't know how to describe it. It was this behemoth in the water, and we just wrestled, and I just got out of there. But it was extremely frightening, just behemoth of a thing. I tried my best to fight it off, but it's kind of hard to fight those creatures. Well, after he pulled me under the water, he then grabbed me, and we wrestled, and then he eventually took a bite into my leg. But I really couldn't feel anything because of the shock. But then the water just turned red, and that's when I knew I was in serious danger. That this could be the end. What if I lost my leg? What if I die here? I have to get out of here. I just wrestled for my life and fought this behemoth, hairy creature. As I got out of the pool, I realized I had a bite in my leg, so I crawled my way back to the door of the apartments, and this creature followed me. I had to go upstairs, but I had an injured leg, so I just crawled through the staircase, trying to get away from this creature. And as I was heading up the stairs, the creature got a hold of me again. And that's when I was able to see the fire extinguisher on the wall. And I punched a glass and grabbed the fire extinguisher and opened it up, and I fired all the foam into his eyes. And I ran back to the apartment. I didn't know who to tell, how I was going to tell anybody, because who would believe me that a hairy monkey just jumped in the pool and tried to kill me? I actually think there's more than one. I'm sure there's a few. Just like we have multiple bears, there's multiple Bigfoots. They came down to the city, there's a lot of food, there's a lot going on. Unfortunately, none of the neighbors could hear me. I screamed, I yelled, but it was nothing. So I just fought for my life. I called the police. They arrived after a couple minutes. They asked me what had happened, and I explained that this creature, this behemoth of a creature, attacked me in the pool and tried to bite my leg off, and they just laughed. They asked me if I'd been drinking, was I on drugs, and I said no, you gotta understand. I was just floating in a pool, living my best life, and this thing tried to kill me. It was Bigfoot. And they just couldn't believe it, and they left. They had other things to do. Tried to explain to my roommate what happened, and he was just like, no one's gonna believe you. Keep your mouth shut, because you're insane. I mean, you sound insane. You got this like half-eaten leg. Just hang tight, quiet it up. It was frustrating, man. No one would believe me. So I just did what any normal person would do, and I got the hell out. I quit my job the next day. I moved out of my apartment, drove all the way back to Texas. At first, I told my parents, and they believed me at first, because I did have the gash on my leg. But after a while, they just thought I was crazy. As they were thinking about it, they realized, how could this be possible? You're swimming in a pool and Bigfoot comes out and tries to kill you. They thought life in LA had just caught up with me and I had gone insane. And it was best that I had moved back to Texas to be with them. But I know, even though the story says, we don't know what it is, I know for a fact it was Bigfoot.
My name is Francesca Mancini. I'm originally from Italy, and both my parents are doctors, and I was supposed to pursue that career as well, but ever since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated by arts. And so when I finished high school, I just wanted to come to Hollywood. I wanted to be an actress. So I decided it was time to come to America because that was my dream. I had to follow my dream. So that's what I did. I came here. And it was very hard at first. Thankfully, I met a girl in Rome, Misty. She's originally from Los Angeles, and we became very good friends. She was there for a while to shoot a movie. And so when I came here, she hosted me at her place. I was able to stay there for free, and she helped me out. At first, I just needed to get money to help her pay the bills and, survive out here. And one day she got a job. She booked a role in a movie, and she just gave me her nanny job, which was great. And it was, an easy job to do. It was in Beverly Hills. I only had to take care of 2 children, like 4 hours at a time. Easy money, And then one night, the Smiths, that was their name, they had to go out. They went to a concert, so I was babysitting at night. They came back around 2:30 a.m. and I had parked my car 3 or 4 blocks away. Mrs. Smith wanted to take me to the car, and I was like, come on. I walked the streets of Hollywood by myself at night. What's Beverly Hills compared to that, I'll be fine. So she insisted, but I said, no, I'll go by myself. And it was very quiet. There was no one around, but I had never been there at night, so I didn't know. I thought it was normal, and I started walking towards my car, and I saw this silhouette from far away, but it was very dark. I didn't pay attention to it. It was very far, so I walked. I just felt it was getting closer, and I felt this smell. It was disgusting. I hated it, and it was getting stronger and stronger. So I could feel it. It was coming closer, and I was scared. And I walked faster, and he was. At that point, I could see him. I did not turn, so I could only see it with the corner of my eye. So I couldn't see the whole figure, but I just started running. I thankfully got to my car in time. I opened the car, I locked myself in, and for a few seconds everything was quiet. And then the car started shaking. I couldn't believe that. I felt like the car was lifted in the air. I didn't think that a human could do that. And so I was trying to turn on the engine, but I couldn't because everything was shaking so much. I couldn't see anything. And I started screaming, and then he finally put down the car. At that point, he started hitting the car, and I saw him. That's when I saw his face. He looked like a giant monkey, but he had a lot of hair on his face, and he kept hitting the car. The car did not turn on, and then he broke the window. He finally broke the window, and at that point, I managed to turn on the car. So I turned on the car, and he was coming to bite me, and I just pressed the gas pedal right away, as quick as I could, and I just went away from there. And I think I hit it, or he fell from the car, because I heard a scream, but I was not gonna stop to look back. I just went away as fast as I could. I never went back there. It still gives me nightmares. I don't know what that was, but to me, I don't know, it looked like Bigfoot. I know it sounds crazy, but I cannot explain it. I've never seen a monkey that big. And it was definitely not a human. I don't know what it was, but I don't ever want to experience that again.
I'm Officer Frank Turner, formerly of the LAPD. Well, at nighttime, we would patrol the streets. We would get a number of calls. Homeless people throwing stuff in the street, vandalizing small businesses, people having parties on the weekends, of course. A lot of noise complaints too, whether it's drive-by or noisy neighbors. During the last year, we would begin to get a lot of strange calls. We were getting more and more of these just really weird calls. All had the same story. They were all attacked by a large animal. And they always say, at first, they thought it was a large, hulking man. But once it got closer and attacked them, or came close to attacking them, it wasn't a man. And they believe it's some large animal. Their descriptions, it would have been too tall to be a bear. I mean, Southern California, we don't have any brown bears or grizzly bears, so I believe, based on all the descriptions, they all had the same story. It was some sort of ape. So the last phone call I received is from a woman downtown off Main Street. When we arrived to the house, there were two individuals. There's the woman laying down and big man over her, and we yelled at it, told him to stop, get up. No response. We got closer, and it was no man. It was the creature. Now this thing must have been 3 feet taller than me, so I'd say about 9 feet tall. Huge. I got my gun out, shot 6 rounds at the thing. Nothing made contact. So after I realized it escaped, I go over to look at the woman who called. Was left. Broken ribs on the torso, bruised limbs. She had all the skin on her left leg torn off. Left foot was removed. She had a gash in the left side of her lower abdomen. Some of her lower intestines were just pulled out besides her. See her stomach. She had all the skin on the left side of her neck gone. About 25 feet away, we found the cap of his skull next to a dumpster. I'm not 100% sure where the creature comes from. That's what I want to find out. But why I believe it's in the city and stays in the city, I believe it's from all the food. The smell from all the street food, all the vendors, probably keeps it here, food from the trash. But now, I believe it enjoys eating people. So that's why I believe humans are in danger. So one of my duties as an officer of the law is to tell the truth. People need to know who is killing these people. The people need to know.
My name is Jessica Gutierrez, single mother. And I used to work in an insurance company. I lost it. And a friend of mine told me, well, you don't start working in Uber. Okay, I tried. I tried to work as an Uber, a couple of hours in the morning, then later a couple of hours in the afternoon. But the money was enough to cover, So start working in the night. One of these days, I was working on the area, the West Hollywood, the area where there's a lot of clubs and stuff like that. I get in 3 girls. And one of those girls was totally drunk. Well, these ladies was through all over my car and dirty all my car. Open the door and running away. Oh, I had to clean all the mess. And I get out of the car, and when I heard something very strong, big noise, like, I don't know if it was, I imagine it was the girls that was joking with me, or a bear or something like that. I went closer, more closer, where the noise went. I saw a big, shiny red eyes. The huge head, hairy, very hairy, very hairy. For me, that was like Bigfoot. If you believe me or no, I don't know if you believe me or not, but that was what I really think that was. Because when I came closer, I saw the creature follow me, so I'm running because I was very, very panicking. I can't. When I'm telling you, I remember, and that made me feel, remember that moment was very heavy for me. I was running, but this creature was running. There was walk, but very fast. I don't have any place to get into it because the place where I was very, very dark and nothing around. The only thing I can find in there was a trash, the big trash that you see outside of the houses. I get into, and the creatures move that things like that, and I don't know what I felt. I'm break my ribs. I get my legs break it. So I wake up in the hospital. But when I try to explain what I saw that night, nobody believed me. They think that I was crazy, homeless or something like that. I don't know, I never want to work again in the night. Take care of yourself. Don't go in alone to hike in the night. Don't go in the night because that creature exists.
My name is Christian Science, and I moved from Puerto Rico to here with intent to start my business, a store that I opened over Venice Boulevard. It was July, it was kind of hot, and nobody was buying nothing, so I closed the store, decided to come back to my place. I tried to sleep, I couldn't. I decided to walk around and got into my boat. The little boat I have here in the channel. When I was rolling around, I fell to sleep. I woke up scared, like something was trying to kill me. I felt this menace, that my life was in danger, and I saw it. It was right behind the bushes. This creature with red eyes, 6 to 7 feet tall, all hair around, these sharp teeth. And I felt that this creature was coming after me. And I tried to move my boat that was stuck against the bridge, and the creature disappeared. I managed to make the boat move, and all of a sudden this creature jumped on top of the boat. Came out from the water. It looks like he dived in and jumped out of it. I was so scared I barely could move. He grabbed me from the neck, and I couldn't breathe. And the boat moved, and we both fell in the water. Thanks to that, I'm alive today. Because once I fell into the water, I tried to swim, and even though he tried to grab me from the legs, I managed to escape. I was screaming as loud as I could, while I was running towards my place, but nobody answered, nobody reacted. I think these creatures, they don't only live around where the bushes and the trees are. I think they actually have adapted to live in the water. Because that creature, the one that attacked me, it disappeared, and all of the sudden came out of the water. That was various minutes, so they can hold the air for many minutes under the water. And not only that, I believe that the neighbors that disappeared have been invaded by these Bigfoots. And these Bigfoots actually live in these abandoned houses. So they can swim like a bear, and they can invade the houses of people. The bears, they do that. But this creature is way smarter than a bear. They have found remains of bodies in these channels. The same people that were missing were victimized by these creatures, Bigfoots. I thought I found the perfect place to live, but with this situation, my life is in danger. So even though I love Venice and everything, I cannot beat Bigfoot. So I'm planning to move as soon as possible out of here. I have never feared anything in my life like I feared this. I still have marks in my neck of what this creature did, and then my legs as well and my arms. I think the police is behind this as well. They want some specific people of the population to disappear, like homeless, crazy people that are walking around in the Venice beach. They're just ignoring every single call, and I know of people that have been calling out this situation for years. I recommend the tourists that come to visit Venice to be careful, because these creatures are actually adapted to live in the water. So you have to walk in groups and avoid walking nighttime.
My name is Hana Soto. I'm 27 years old, and I live in a small apartment near the Los Feliz area. I currently work for an important Secretary of State company in California. I'm currently the secretary, and my job is to sell and manage properties. And with this job, I barely have time for anything else, and I'm working all the time, so the only way I can relieve stress is to work out. I usually go to Griffin Park in the mornings. That's where I usually run and meet nice people there. And sometimes I go by the mountains and look at the view of the sunset. On that day, I went on a very early run just to relieve some stress from work. And it just so happens that there was barely anyone around. It was still dark outside. And my goal was to make a run towards the Hollywood sign and go back down. And as I was running, from the corner of my eye, I thought I saw a tall creature. And I assumed it was a very tall man, but he looked a bit too hairy. But I was thinking, like, it's not that big of a deal, because maybe he is actually a tall, hairy man. So I kept running. And then I stumbled upon a scenery where I decided to take photos of, because I think it just looked very beautiful. And then as I run back down, the creature was there again, and something felt very, very off. And I just felt like in my gut that it's not a very tall man, but rather something else. The creature, it has to be over 6 feet tall, very, very hairy, and it has very dark fur. It's like, I can't even place what it is, but it's like some otherworldly creature. It was not human. I think it could be Bigfoot. So I kept on running, and then all of a sudden, this big, tall creature decided to run after me, and that kicked my fight or flight instincts, and I decided to go into flight mode because I'm already running. So I decided to run as fast as I can, and then as I was running, I accidentally tripped some rocks and fell down. And so I decided to get back up and scramble to the cave to hide from the tall creature. And I just felt very, very scared. When I entered into the cave, I saw skeletons, human bones, skulls, pieces of flesh such as like limbs of arms, legs, decaying bodies. Some of the bodies were still fresh, other bodies were like way past this decomposed state. There was blood, meat. It was like walking into a butcher shop, but for humans that were like treated like animals in there. I just realized that when I entered upon the cave, I might have entered the monster's cave. And I decided to run back out because I don't want to be one of those humans to be butchered up like that. As I ran out of the cave, I finally mustered all of the strength I can just to get out of there, even though my leg was broken and bleeding. And luckily, as I stepped out, I saw a group of young people nearby. And I called for help because I was hurt and I needed to be taken to the hospital. And I tried to tell them that it was a monster who attacked me, but nobody believed me. It was reported as a coyote attack instead. And to this day, even though I warn people on TV that there's a monster roaming around these woods, people still didn't believe me, and nothing has changed to this day. My family did not believe me. They thought it was an animal that attacked me, and they think I'm crazy for saying it was a monster. They finally decided to close the cave because after that happened to me, there's been more attacks, and these attacks were reported as either animal attacks or like a psychopath was nearby, even though I don't think that's true because I swear there was a monster attacking all of us. But they decided to close down the cave to prevent any further injuries to its citizens. I think Bigfoot is coming to the cities because there's a lot of people there and Bigfoot wants food, whether it be like the trash can from the trash bins, like junk food or other tossed food that's in there. They'll go eat those, but they also would try to eat people because Bigfoot is very hungry. And since cities have a lot of people in it, that's a lot of people for Bigfoot to hunt, and it's easy access for Bigfoot to go and kill people there to eat them. The advice I have for people coming into the park is be aware of your surroundings. Like, you could be going for a nice jog and then the next thing you know, you're being attacked, and that can go from 100 to 0 real quick. So be aware of your surroundings first, and then once you see the creature, just run as fast as you can. There's no reasoning with Bigfoot. You can't really communicate with it. So the only option is to run away and hopefully you make it alive. After what I saw, and I looked up in the internet to research what it was, even though no one believes me, I swear I think it's Bigfoot. There's no other explanation for this. And that's why I'm here standing today for this interview, to let other people know that Bigfoot exists.
My name is Michael Smith. I'm a licensed pathologist, graduated from the University of California. Well, I grew up in a family of pathologists and doctors. My grandfather was a big influence on me, and my father. We used to have 1 or 2 autopsies a week, but now it's 8 to 12 autopsies a day. It's very, very strange. But what's even stranger than the fact that we have this many cases, the pattern of them dying are very similar. It's very intriguing, very strange, and I don't have an answer. These injuries are they're very disturbing. To be honest with you, is not what I'm used to seeing. Very, very, very disturbing. I mean, we're talking about arms cut off, torso injuries, necks cut off, heads blown to pieces with I don't know how, but not consistent with any injuries that you would see normally. These are injuries that are caused by something bigger than light. Because these are just, I don't even want to explain what I saw because it's really gross. And when I revisit talking about it, it just makes me feel nauseous. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, think of it, the arm just off, the wrist, heads just, but these paws or the hands or whatever, they're not normal size. It's like in the past, we do an autopsy and we see the hands. We say, yeah, that fits a hand of a very big person or a very small person, but it makes sense. We look at a bear and a claw of a bear or a mountain lion. When you pick the animal, we can nail it. We've done enough of these where we say, yeah, that matches an animal. These doesn't match anything. This doesn't, I can't even explain to you. You wouldn't even understand unless I took you in and said, look at this. And I wouldn't do that to anybody. I mean, I wouldn't let anybody see what I saw, other than the police officers and my team members. Nobody needs to see this. Being in my field, I hear a lot of crazy stuff. I gotta be honest with you. They tell me stories, the families of the dead bodies, my friends, they tell me all kinds of stories, and I know they're just messing with me. And I joke with them, they tease me. But for the first time ever in my life, I'm beginning to think, could it be Bigfoot? A larger than life, smaller than us, a creature out there that is more powerful and more intelligent than any of us? Because I don't want to believe that. I mean, trust me, when I say that, I don't believe in those kind of theories. But when I see this happening, and I see it, it's not like someone's telling me that. I saw it with my own two eyes. I saw what was going on, and we're dealing with something, I don't even know, but Bigfoot's got to be an option. We got to consider it. We got to consider everything, but Bigfoot, it kind of makes sense. I mentioned it once to my wife, and she just shook her head and kind of hinted that maybe I need a vacation, maybe I've seen too many, that my mind's playing tricks on me. And I'm saying to myself, no, this really is happening. And my wife kind of thought I was cuckoo, but I know what I saw. And my friend, same thing, I mentioned it to my friend, and they just said, okay. And you could tell how they reacted, the same thing. They didn't believe me. But I understand why they don't believe me, because when I explained it to them, it really is unbelievable. If someone told me what I told them, I would think the same thing. It's like, are you crazy? What is going on? But I saw it. The police officer saw it. My team members saw it. When we talk about what to do right now, in the past, you hear stories, or if somebody is loose up in the mountains, mountain lions, bear. This is happening in the city, like just walking down the street. So I would say you could bring a dog with you, but do you really want to put your dog in danger? I mean, this animal, or whatever it is huge. So really, would a dog help you? A stick help you? A spray help you? I would, honestly, I would just say stay the frick home. And I mean home, don't even go to the store until something happens. Don't take a chance. Don't go out in the streets. I know, even in downtown areas, do not go out. I don't want your body in my office.
My name is Monique Johnson, and I'm originally from LA. I was working at this car dealership downtown for like 2 years. It was just the most boring, mind-numbing job you could think of. But that's not really what I do. my passion is music. I'm a musician, and I was in this band. So that day, I had a gig, and towards the end of my shift, my manager comes to me and says, I need you to stay later. And, you know, he knew that I had to leave to go to this gig. I said, I'm sorry, I can't. And then he gave me an ultimatum. He said, well, either you stay at work late today or you can quit, you can walk out. So that's exactly what I did. I quit. So I got at the bar, and we did a little sound check. We went on, and nobody showed up. The place was completely empty, which was just a continuation of, you know, that strange day again. And after we'd been playing for about 15 minutes to a completely dead place, the bar manager said, I'm gonna shut this place down early. Looks like nobody's coming. So we just stopped playing. One of my bandmates, Johnny, he's the lead guitarist, he had offered me a ride home, but I was just so upset over the whole day. I told him no thanks. So I decided to just head to the subway alone, midnight. I got there, and again, with the strange vibe of the day, it was dead quiet. And I walked down to the platform, and it was deserted. I was the only person there. And then not long after, the train arrived. The train was completely empty. I was happy that the train was empty. I wouldn't have to deal with anyone. There was this one old lady who was at the other end of the car, and she was just sleeping peacefully. But then a couple of minutes into the trip, the train just slowed down and stopped right in the middle of the tunnel. The lights flickered on and off a couple of times. At that point, I still, you know, it had been such a day. In my mind, I was thinking, like, I really would not be surprised if the train just broke down with the type of day it's been. So I didn't think too much about it. The train started again, then a couple of minutes, I lost track of time, but it slowed down and stopped mid-tunnel for a second time. Except that time, I saw something. You know, I'm not someone who believes in the supernatural. I don't believe in, you know, monsters, cryptids, all that kind of thing. But I'm pretty sure what I saw that night was, I'm pretty sure it was Bigfoot. I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, I didn't want to believe it either at first. I thought it was maybe a very, very tall man. It was dark, but then I noticed that it was very hairy, and he was way, way, way too big to be a human. At that point, I was frozen with fear. Metal tearing sound, like screeching metal, like when metal rubs against metal and it makes that sound that just kind of grates on your nerves. There's that sound. And I immediately knew that it had made it inside the train car. It sounded like it just ripped the doors open. I looked behind me one last time to see what the old lady was doing, and I saw that it was on top of her, and it was biting her. It was like ripping at her flesh, and she was screaming. Yeah, it sounded like she was being eaten alive. It was the most horrible thing I ever heard. I wanted to help, but it didn't seem like there was anything I could do to help. She was getting eaten. I did not want to be next. So I just started running towards the train door at the other end of the car. And the thing, its attention was briefly off of the old lady as soon as I got up and started running. And I made it to the car doors, but I couldn't get them open very quickly. I had to kind of pry at them a little bit, and this thing was, I don't know if it was messing with me or what, but there was definitely, it knew what it was doing, and it was taking its time, and I know that there was like this awareness in it of what it was doing, and it was enjoying like the hunt. I was pretty sure I was going to die. The poor lady, I don't know what happened to her. I'm pretty sure she's dead. There's no way she survived that. I can't stop thinking about her. But I finally got the door to the connecting car open, and I ran into the next car. The thing was still following me, and it was gaining on me. It was advancing like so quickly, and it had really like picked up its speed. Like at first it seemed like it was toying with me, and then the only thing that really, I guess, saved my life was arriving to the next station. Maybe they blinded the Bigfoot, maybe they hurt its eyes, or I don't know what, but as soon as the light hit it, it like screeched, and then it ran back the other way through the car that we had just come through, and it probably left through the hole that it made in the other door. I don't know. I wasn't trying to figure it out. I just ran out of that train. So before this happened, I would have looked at you crazy if you said Bigfoot was real, but ever since that night, I know that Bigfoot is real. I know what I saw. It was as real as me sitting here talking to you, and I 100% believe now. Bigfoot is real.